Okay, this is Mr. Grimslin here. We're going to talk about the Persian Empire today. So Persian Empire in the Fertile Crescent and beyond. So this is the same area as Mesopotamia. When we talked about ancient Mesopotamia last unit, nowadays we call this the Middle East. Basically, Persia is going to establish an empire that kind of runs all the way from Greece, all the way near the Hindu Kush Mountains and the Indus River to the east, and also down here in Egypt. So big space, big empire. The time period we're talking about here is 550 BCE to 330 BCE. So this is, again, after that ancient Mesopotamian time period we talked about last unit. Persian territory was the largest in the world at the time. So this is going to be the biggest empire we've ever seen so far in the world. They control, like I said, all the way from Asia Minor almost to Greece in the west, and they're going to control almost to India, near the Indus River to the east. So the unification of Persia occurred under the leadership of Darius, and he lived 522 BCE to 486 BCE. This is a little picture of Darius. He's going to be one of the guys we talk about a little later in the presentation. So under Darius, the Persian Empire was so successful because important reason number one, tolerance of conquered people. So what does tolerance mean? Tolerance means kind of acceptance of conquered people. They were kind of nice to conquered people. Once they conquered them, once they defeated them in battle, Darius or Cyrus or whoever the leader was of Persia at the time would go right into the city. He'd shake hands with the priests. He'd make nice with the people who were kind of in charge there, and he'd say, hey, as long as you pay me tribute, I'll let you guys do your own thing, and I'll be tolerant to you. You can continue to live the way you live, as long as you know that I'm large and in charge. I'm going to be ruling from afar. So he was nice to conquered people. The other thing he did, he developed an imperial bureaucracy. What does bureaucracy mean? It means government workers. Okay, so he's going to have all these different government workers who are going to report back to him, and he's going to make it kind of an efficient system of government where it's not just the king ruling over a large space. He's got governors, he's got people under the governors, so there's bureaucrats working for him to establish the government, establish the rule of law. And then the construction of the road system, that's another important thing. The road in the Persian Empire is actually called the Royal Road, and it's this road right here in red that kind of goes all the way from Mesopotamia into Asia Minor up here. So that's the big road you need to know in Persia. So all this is kind of part of the Silk Road, which remember goes up into Europe, and it goes all the way through here, through India, and then eventually into China. So they're going to trade goods, they're going to trade ideas along this road. It's going to be a nice innovation for them. So the other thing we need to know about Persia is they had a new religion, and the religion is called Zoroastrianism. Okay, so it's monotheistic. It means there's one God. It's going to reject traditional polytheistic faith. Remember in Mesopotamia earlier we talked about how there were many gods. They believed in polytheism, and they're going to get away from that with the Zoroastrianism. It's going to be monotheistic. So Zoroastrianism is all about deciding which side to support, good or evil. It's all about the epic struggle between good and evil. So on Judgment Day, every individual will be judged for their actions. So if you lived a good life, if you did your duty according to the religion, then you would go to heaven. And then if you didn't, if you were bad, you would go to hell. So that's what Judgment Day is. And Zoroastrianism is one of the first religions that's going to believe in a Judgment Day. And this is very similar to what we see in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Those religions also believe in a Judgment Day. They believe in good versus evil. Many Christians, have God and they have the devil. It's kind of the similar idea where there's good and there's evil, and it's up to the individual to decide what side they want to support. Alright, so just important people we need to know. Cyrus is the first Persian conqueror. He's going to establish kind of being kind to conquered peoples, being tolerant. And then Darius is kind of the guy who fulfills, the best most achievements of the Persian Empire. He kind of has things running at 100%. He's going to continue conquering, and he's going to install these governors in each province that is called they're called satraps. So each area of the Persian Empire will have a satrap there, a governor who reports back to Darius, the king. He's going to make sure everything's running smoothly. It's all part of that bureaucracy that we talked about earlier. And then the last important person, Zoroaster, preacher of Zoroastrianism. He's kind of the guy who first started preaching Zoroastrianism, who kind of first brought everyone's attention to his religion. And that's a picture of supposedly what he looked like right there. So that is Persia. Remember, you can pause these videos at any time, rewind, and copy down the notes if you need to.